Warning! Danger! Electricity! Welcome to Sillamäe, a once secret Soviet closed town. It looks quiet today, but let me tell you, there's a ton of Cold War secrets in history that we're gonna explore here today. So come with me as we explore some of the dark history that we have here on planet Earth.
This is Vagabond Chronicles, where we uncover places that time forgot, dig into the darker chapters of history, and find the human threads that still connect us all. During World War II, the Soviet Union played a massive role in defeating Nazi Germany. They liberated concentration camps, freed cities under fascist rule, and paid an enormous human cost in the process. But when the war ended, they didn't leave. The USSR switched gears from liberation to occupation as the Cold War was kicking off. Part of the Soviet strategy to keep pace with the West was to build closed towns. These were places where the USSR's best scientists and engineers were sent to live and locked in.
You couldn't go out and no one could come in. The brightest minds were placed here to do things with uranium, the mine that we'll go see in a little bit, so keep watching.
Originally, they planned to build one of these secret cities in Narva.
After the USSR flattened Narva, they realized they made a crucial mistake. They destroyed the wrong town.
It was too close to the river, the border, and the old Greenholm factory. So instead, they moved out east, destroyed the holiday town that was here, and built Sillamäe. Its purpose was to engineer radioactive material for Soviet bombs and reactors. Today, there are just 10,000 residents left. The factories and scientists are gone, and what remains is a pastel-painted Stalinist ghost town full of silence, stories, and secrets. This town wasn't built to be remembered, but maybe that's exactly why we should.
And as lore goes, these towns were the best place to live. The shops would be filled, so you didn't have to worry about clothes or food like the rest of the USSR did. Everything here was provided. And in true Soviet form, a lot of it was subsidized. So there was enough food to go around. Now that was really only true for the closed towns, like we have here in Sillamäe, or like we have up in Barentsburg or Pyramiden. A lot of the windows you can see are closed and boarded up. One of the reasons for that is that after 1991, there was no reason to stay here. People wanted to move out.
The uranium processing was closed down, and overnight, everyone was out of work.
But if you were moved here in the 1960s, by now, you know, you're in your retirement era. And a quiet town where there's only a couple of buildings under construction sounds like a pretty baller place to spend retirement. Now this would have been a cool bar, probably tables out here, hooligans and lads having a little beer. I assume you could still have beer in USSR times. We're gonna pretend you could. I don't know when this thing closed, but it did. See right here, we even see a lot of the signs, only in Russian. We can still see detailing. A little plaster over wood. Even up here, more plaster over wood. Super common from that, I guess, a Stalinist era of developing buildings. Now you can tell this town was built for so many more people. Super wide streets, lots of houses, multi-family housing here. All over the town, there's info signs like this.
During Soviet times, these boards were part of daily life, filled with shift schedules, culture events, and of course, state propaganda. Today, the habit remains, just a bit more modern.
Cool. These trees are so pretty. Now on the side here, this is where a lot of the people live, the workers. And these buildings are constructed all in the same way, and you'll see this all over the ex-Soviet blocks.
Communism came with a handbook. As the USSR expanded, local leaders were issued guides on how to rapidly build towns. Everything from infrastructure to propaganda boards.
Stuff was not built for pleasure or enjoyment.
Housing was built to eat and sleep in.
Now I've not seen any kids over the age of like 80 yet in this town. But we can see over here an old Soviet playground. It looks more like an outdoor gym, but we can play. Woohoo! Whee! Now, like most things that the USSR built, it was all just repurposed. These pipes could have been used for industry, but this one was used for playing. And if you ask me, it doesn't give that juvenile, happy kid playing. I don't know, it feels cold.
Possibly why they called it the Cold War.
We still have signs of hooligans. OMG! Boom! It doesn't matter where you are. You will have hooligans drawing on walls anywhere. Now here we have another old building. We see some circles up here. In the circles, usually in those, is where like the Soviet star would have been. I don't know why they picked a star, but they did.
Dating back to Tsarist times, the red five-pointed star was officially adopted by the Red Army and soon became as iconic on Soviet monuments as the hammer and sickle, globe, and wheat
At the
wreath.
very top, we can see 1949, one of the first buildings to be constructed here. Here where the circle was, that would have likely been a star, or the typical sickle and hammer, that symbol of Soviet poverty, strength, whatever they called it. I don't know. They had good branding. I'll give them that. This building here was built in 1955. It's clear we're not supposed to go inside, but just imagine if we could. Some old cool engineering in here. Politics aside, I don't care who makes engineering when it's very cool. We have, maybe it's a sewer plant. We see like little holes here. I don't know, very cool building. Now what you probably haven't seen yet are a lot of restaurants and a lot of grocery shops. And that's because people have moved on. We're about 30 kilometers from Narva, which is a pretty big city. And there's buses multiple times a day, so if you don't drive, you can just hop on a nice little more bus and head on to Narva for a couple of euros. Now I wonder why they're restoring this building. Maybe it's cool. Maybe there's some historical significance to it. Now up here we have beautiful decorations. And then all of that soon will be something incredible.
Maybe they're restoring it, or maybe they're tearing it down. Either way, Sillamäe carries a strange, quiet aura, like it's still keeping secrets.
We have a happy dude here. We got books up here.
It's a cold reminder that even the buildings carried the scars of communism. Black voids where Soviet stars and symbols were once carved into the walls.
On this building, it looks like they're making it safe and reinforcing it. We can see how they've dug out the foundation a bit, and they're probably going to build it back up. The ground is very squishy, so the building inside has probably started to settle, but beautiful little decorations on it. We see here some of the old stairwells. See, the buildings would have been painted in these bright light colors, trying to make it look more glorious than it was. It kind of looks Roman, right? With a little beautiful bloop, bloop, bloop.
Exactly. Stalinist architecture was built to look Roman. The Soviets used the language of empires to remind you who built the walls around you. And power looks better in marble anyway, right?
I mean, just look at these posts. Like, this feels like marble. That's incredible. Where would they have gotten marble? I don't think marble is in Estonia. Maybe it is. But this, wow. I mean, just the detail on these doorways. It's pretty cool here. we can see where there would have been a Soviet flag post, and these guys say, no, this is our town now. I'm down with that. It leaves a hole in the wall, but who cares? We're not putting up with that anymore. Okay, this is very cool. Check out this bench. The thing I like, you can see how many layers of paint this has on it. So much history. We see blue and red, but then it looks like it's been painted green after a while. Oh, we got some yellow over here too. You just see years of history flaking off in Mother Nature. Now this building is incredible. There must have been some cool stories by it. We can just see it in decay, desperate need of a hug. Someone hugged the building. Up top where we see this wreath, they're likely, it would have been some famous poet or artist or some leader's face from the Soviet Union at the time, a thought leader. But because we're going now to the mine, the uranium mine, it's very nearby here, I thought it was appropriate that we also visit this statue that was built for the miners and for the scientists who did some of their best work. Like, imagine doing your best work for a bad government. But up here, we see him twirling around his nuclear ball, strong abs. Okay, now I think it's time that we need to get to that mine and go see more of why Sillamäe was built here and not over in Narva.